Let's take, I don't know what this call is.
Steve?
That's you.
Yeah, Steve. Yeah, I'd love to talk to Steve.
Steve,
called in
you're
last
on the
week.
air with Jamie and Eric.
Hey.
How are you doing?
I'm having a fucking amazing day.
Good.
Well, good. Yeah.
So last week you called in and you were saying that it could point towards a God by, if you look at Susan Boyle, right? If you look at people who have an amazing, talent.
And I don't know what the fuck I was really talking about, honestly.
But actually what's interesting.
I tried to make a good argument for God, but the fact of the matter is there really isn't any. So,
I agree.
That's amazing. I mean, here's the thing, though, is when I was working my way out, unlike Jamie, who just logicked his way out of it, it took me a long time, and I was grasping at straws. I was trying to find any way to, really, really test everything that I could before I was willing to give up the God concept. And so when you're going through those and you're able to focus on good tools, right? What do we value? We value evidence. We value skepticism. We value truth and being able to test claims. And as you went through that,
honesty, friend. We need to value honesty.
That's right.
Above everything.
And in conversation with you,
sit there and you can hear the facts all day, but if you're not willing to be honest when something's right and it hurts you, you don't like it, and it means some part of you that you've always held dear has to die.
Yeah, and it's so but that's the thing. Honest. It is so uncomfortable, and people don't like feeling uncomfortable when they have their ideas challenged, and that's why they get angry and offensive, and that's why they jump out. I mean, you see it all the time with other people. And what I saw in you, Steve, that I absolutely adore, is in the last 2 weeks in our messaging back and forth with each other, right? You were honest, and you took the time, but you wanted to call in today. And I'd love to hear, what did you want to talk about today?
I don't, man, I'm going to be...
Oh?
Steve,
you there? Oh, my. It sounds like we lost
Well, I don't
Steve.
remember whether when he called in last week, he was calling himself a theist or not.
He was.
He's,
let's wait
right.
on that.
Okay.
I'm here, boys.
Hey,
all
there
right,
you
Steve,
are. We lost
what did you want to say this week?
My fucking cheek muted the phone.
What's up, man?
Shit. Anyways, all right. So I gotta be honest. I woke up today and I smoked a bowl. Had a great little time with my wife, and since then I've been drinking margaritas. And now I'm talking to you boys. So it's like 1 o'clock, and I've already had a fucking amazing day as far as I'm concerned.
Hey.
But today, I kind of wanted to just be honest, I guess. Since we're going with the fucking theme, right? For the first time, I'm like kind of saying it in a way that I know a lot of people hear me. I'm a fucking atheist.
Yeah!
Congratulations.
Go, Steve! Welcome.
Yeah.
Welcome to
really
freedom.
Good.
Yeah.
Damn
good.
straight, man.
So good.
It's
basically...
We know it's the answer to just one question, but seeing you value skepticism and reason and logic gives me a lot of hope for your future, because you have the tools and you've been developing the tools you need to go a whole lot further than just answering one question. And that's
honestly,
that's
I've
awesome.
always had the tools. I mean, it was just denial. And I can remember moments in my youth where I was reading the Bible. I was always really into it, and I'd read things and I would stop and I would just feel like it would hit me so hard. I would come across something that I just couldn't fucking wrap my head around. And now it's easy to look back at those moments with regret, thinking, why didn't you think that through? Why did you stop there? Why didn't you pursue that at that moment instead of wasting the next 20 years of your life basically living in some sort of form of self-torture? And so I mean, I don't know. For me, it all kind of began like 2 years ago. I basically looked at the church and I became very disillusioned with the church. And I was very involved with the church. I was a lead guitarist at a mega church here in town that runs 1,000+ members.
Wow.
And they have 3 services every Sunday, and 4 for a time. And I was like playing all the services. And
it's good steady work for a musician.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun actually.
Oh, well, yeah, man. Oh, dude, I totally believe
great
it.
friends and the friends and connections and honestly the family's feeling.
And the chord
turned out.
And the chord projection is
hollow.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. What were you gonna say?
Oh, no. I was just gonna say that usually the chords in a lot of Christian songs are pretty,
Oh man, it's like playing on fucking Coldplay, dude.
It's simple and it's melodic and it's easy to get into. Yeah, but that's all. That kind of didn't add to the conversation.
I'm a semi-professional level guitar player too, so like you're a very valuable pet to have around. So it had its like perks, I guess you could say. And part of it was like people admiring you and respecting you, and people up there who just really always telling you. Honestly, this connects to last week's call. They're telling you all the time how blessed you are by God your entire fucking life. So it's very easy to let that affect you deeply about how you feel about talent, and specifically your own, and other people. So that was a hard one to let die because it was more personal to me, probably perhaps than any of the rest of it.
Yeah. That is the thing about religion when people are finding their way out, right? There's a complete asymmetry in the way that people tend to convert to religion as opposed to deconvert from. In the same way that there's a complete asymmetry between the way that people get addicted to a chemical substance and move past that addiction.
Everyone's using it to cope for different things and different experiences, different pain and trauma.
Yeah, it has a different specific way that it connects to a sort of psychological a benefit, I suppose is the right word. But that's the last part that goes, right? Yeah. Like people that are sort of like, okay, well, maybe God doesn't answer prayers, or maybe God doesn't do this, or, I guess tornadoes aren't always caused by God. I know that there was a church that was once destroyed by a tornado, whatever. But, when I was little, there was a tornado that really served up some vicious karma for me. And so, of course, that one was caused by God. And, I've had trouble getting through my life, and along the way, I've found help from God. So, of course, that's God, because it has meaning to you. It's the same reason that it's difficult to persuade people that, no, your astral sign doesn't mean anything, because they found meaning in it themselves.
It's even more than that. I mean, people will tell you, like my mom specifically, when I had the moment, I had an opportunity to kind of open itself up organically to talk to her. And when she did, she kind of broke down for a second. She wasn't ever mad at me or mean to me at all, but she had a moment where she kind of broke down for a second. It was like, it's got me through some tough times, And I was like, I hated that. And I was thinking, this is why I don't want to fucking tell people at all, because I don't want to be that dickhead who comes and like pops their fucking little balloon.
You don't have to.
So here's what I will say, though.
But you kind of end up being that way anyways, just by like making them even go there in their minds,
Yeah, to be clear, there are people who will be offended because you, as a non-believer, exist. And depending on your relationship with that person...
No, it's a personal rejection for them.
Yeah, it's a personal rejection for them, but depending on your relationship with that person and that individual and where you are in your life and how you interact with the people around you, choosing whether or not to come out is a very, very, very personal choice. And I'm not willing to push anyone and everyone, even by default, to coming out. However, the power is immense, and you will probably be very surprised by some of the reactions around you. I don't actually remember whether you've said that you're, very, very deep in, the only people you know are Pentecostal. There's some things where you can kind of have some prediction of how people will respond. But it's the holidays, and my family has many holiday traditions, and I've been doing this show for just over a year now, and so because it's not me saying it, people I know, friends, family, etc., are just sort of like, I get asked, oh, what have you been doing? Oh, how's this going? Whatever. Oh, I went to church the other day. What did you do? And friends, family, whatever, have very, very different feelings / no feelings whatsoever, or feelings of pride about telling people, oh no, actually, he's the president of an atheist group and he does this atheist show and atheist. And I'm kind of like, oh wow, cool. Thank you for doing that for me. That's great.
This is going to be fun.
I'm glad I'm single right now. Or you'd be like, yeah, he's got this boyfriend and it's super great. And I'm like, but the responses that I've gotten from people, some people that I've known that have known me since I was this tall.
Hashtag grind on Jamie. Let's bring it back.
Jamie's he's advertising right now.
Yeah, maybe a little bit. The responses I've gotten have been unbelievably surprising. So there's this very strong trope that relates very strongly with reality that people stay in religion because it's a really good way of coping with death. Two problems with that. One, it's not a good way of coping with death. But also, two, I know it's personal experience, but there are people that I've met that have just been like, yeah, no, I don't believe there's an afterlife and it doesn't bother me at all. And
yeah,
I mean, I think I've said that before. I thought that I was one of a very, very few people that had that response to no afterlife.
Yeah.
It's like, someone was describing the plot of Death Note to me, and it's the punishment is, ooh, you won't have an afterlife. And I'm like, yeah, so life will be normal. But, sorry, what were you saying, Steve? I talked over you?
There wasn't a pre-life either, right?
Yeah, well, there was if you were Mormon.
Back to
but
being what it was before you were here in the first place.
Yeah.
Get over it. The fucking universe will be fine. It's not really going to affect anybody.
Really? Yeah. But there's something more to that, which is that there are people that I met where it's like, oh, I know that they were raised in the Church of Christ or have been religious their entire lives and like all of these things that are just sort of like, oh, that's really interesting because, I was talking to this person that served as my lawyer for a long time and they told me that they were an atheist after a while. And I was sort of like, oh, that's interesting. And I was like, what is happening right here? Like, I mean, it's probably that you've known me since I was this tall, but this is a very, very congenial, open conversation. And
this is kind of organically unfolding here, if I could stop you, because you're freaking flying.
Yeah.
He tends to do that. Refer back to the early episodes.
He keeps going.
He does.
You're the one that encourages me to drink caffeine before we go on the air.
Yeah, that's a good thing. I watched your first episode. Maybe take a shot, too. But
actually, I was told that I have a gin and tonic waiting for me after the show, so
Good.
Hey, Steve?
Yeah.
Well, I think he's got... Steve, did you have a point you were getting to at the last?
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Go ahead, man.
I had a point, and I was kind of trying to get to it.
Go for it.
I want to get to, basically... Okay. I told you, Eric, that this morning, Sunday morning, right, I had an engagement. I was supposed to play at a mega church this morning, and last night I canceled on it at the last minute because I just fucking can't do it anymore. I can't fake it, and I didn't give a fuck if it was an inconvenience for them. I didn't want to be up there in front of all these people as they wave back and forth with their hands in the air saying Jesus, the Holy Spirit things over and over and over and over and over and over again. I just couldn't deal with it. And so I canceled, and I kind of determined within myself that no more faking anymore. I just can't deal with a lot of my fakery. And I know that to some extent I have to. I can't just go on Facebook in the town like I live in and just be like, blah. I can't just throw that out there. I mean, I live in a relatively small town, and Facebook makes this town tiny.
Yeah.
So you got to be really careful. I also have my own personal interest, and that's not even to mention, which is the most important part anyhow, that religion has fucked up my life enough, and I'm not going to give it one last fucking chance to do infinite damage.
It's a good thing that you have control there, and you don't have to jump out there and do that. Nobody is forcing you to jump out and ostracize yourself in your community. And
I can do whatever I want, literally.
But if it would do that, if ostracizing yourself in your community would be the result of that, then I would say that's probably not the best choice to make, even if it feels cathartic in the moment.
I'd be a pariah overnight.
But yeah.
Yeah. So. Yeah.
All right, man.
It's kind of just a complicated thing because you got things like my wife's a believer; she works in the church, so it's not even something I can completely escape because it's like part of my family then essentially. So it's kind of like. I don't know. It's going to be something that I just have to play it slow. I'm just have patience, I guess.
Yeah.
Sure.
So there are people that are close to me that are trying to encourage me to become involved with some of the, social aspects of their church. And it's really kind, right? It's the most kind way that a person can encourage me to become involved in a church.
Yeah.
But I totally understand that because they're very close to me. I end up spending time with them. But I went with them to their church recently, and it was like, oh, we're on our way out of the service. We're getting greeted by the pastor, shake everyone's hand. Oh, you're Jamie. I've heard about you. Yeah, we're real big fans of your friends around here. Oh, we're just crazy about it. I'm like, oh God, they're never going to leave. But
I'm sorry.
All right.
it's all I'm saying is you're not the only one who's got friends, family, close people tied up in the church.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Honestly, I hardly show up. And
Yeah.
the last time I showed up, imagine this, right? I'm not exaggerating any of this shit to tell some cool story.
Hey,
This shit literally happened.
Steve?
Yeah.
We're gonna wrap up with this one. That way we can keep the
sure.
pace of the show.
Yeah.
I don't want to,
Yeah. I hear
be
you.
that guy.
But no. I appreciate it. And it was good talking to you guys, and have a happy new year. And I love you guys. You're awesome. You make me laugh all the time.
We love you too, man.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Have a good one. Bye.
Hey, you too.
Oh.
Happy New Year.
Bye, Steve. Happy New Year.
I thought. Anyway.
I thought he was going to say the last story.
So
Yeah,
we missed it. No, it's still there.